Stoicism, a philosophy beloved by the mighty and the wise, could it possibly have a dark side? It's a question that might wrinkle the brows of many, especially those who found solace and strength in the Stoic way of life. Stoicism, with its ancient roots and timeless wisdom, has been a beacon for countless individuals, guiding them through life's storms with its teachings of virtue, resilience, and equanimity. But, like any philosophy, Stoicism is not without its potential pitfalls. It's like a coin with two faces. On one side, it offers a robust framework for personal development and emotional resilience. It teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. It encourages us to accept life as it is, not as we wish it to be. However, flip the coin and we find the darker side of Stoicism, the aspects that may not be as beneficial or even healthy. It's easy to overlook these, especially when we're caught in the mesmerizing glow of the philosophy's brighter side. But it's essential to shed light on these less explored areas to provide a balanced view of Stoicism. Stoicism, in essence, teaches us to differentiate between what we can control and what we can't. It encourages us to accept life's ups and downs with grace, finding peace in the knowledge that some things are beyond our influence. Stoicism's emphasis on acceptance can sometimes tip the scales towards passivity. We might find ourselves standing on the sidelines of our own lives, merely observing instead of actively participating. Imagine waiting for a train that never comes. It's out of your control. So, you adapt, you take a taxi instead. But what if things aren't that straightforward? Stoicism, a philosophy that encourages us to accept and adapt to things outside our control, can sometimes lead us into the trap of passivity. Think about it. You're waiting for the train. It has an accident. It doesn't come. You can't change that. Stoicism says, don't get mad or frustrated. Accept it. Adapt. So, you take a taxi. But let's dig a little deeper here. The train example is clear-cut, right? The train's arrival is out of your control, but your decision to take a taxi is within your control. But life isn't always that straightforward. Consider your relationships. Can you influence the mood of your partner? Is it within your control? It's a gray area, isn't it? The risk of passivity in Stoicism comes from this gray area. We might get so caught up in identifying what we can't control, we overlook the things we can influence. We might accept a situation thinking it's out of our hands, when in reality, there are steps we could take to change it. This is where Stoicism can lead to inaction. If you think you can't control your partner's mood, you might not try to cheer them up when they're feeling down. You might not express your own feelings, thinking it won't make a difference. This passivity, this acceptance of things as they are without attempting to exert any influence, can be a downside of Stoicism. Now, don't get me wrong, Stoicism isn't all about passivity. It's about understanding the difference between what we can and can't control. But sometimes that line isn't as clear as we'd like it to be. And in those instances, we might err on the side of passivity, when in fact, we could be taking action. Sometimes the line between what we can and cannot control isn't as clear as we might think. Here is another example. Imagine shrugging off major societal issues because you have no direct influence over them. Sounds unproductive, right? This is where Stoicism can become a barrier to progress. Stoics often emphasize focusing only on what one can control, and while this can be a powerful tool for personal growth, it can also lead to apathy towards broader societal issues. Consider political injustice. Sure, as an individual, you may not have the power to single-handedly topple an oppressive regime. But imagine if everyone adopted this Stoic principle. No protests, no activism, no collective action. Quite a bleak picture, isn't it? Yet, history has proven time and again that collective action can lead to significant change. It's the cumulative effect of individual actions that shapes society and drives progress. While it's true we can't control everything, our collective actions can indeed shape society. Stoicism teaches us to stay calm in the face of adversity. But does it also encourage us to suppress our emotions? This is a question that has troubled many who delve into the philosophy of Stoicism. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy of emotional resilience. It guides us to understand what is within our control and what is not, and to focus our energies accordingly. But it's important to be clear about the difference between emotional resilience and emotional suppression. Emotional resilience is about maintaining equilibrium amidst the storm. It's about navigating through life's ups and downs with grace and tranquility. On the other hand, emotional suppression is about pushing down our feelings, denying their existence, and essentially running away from them. Now you might be wondering, does Stoicism really endorse such behavior? Well, the answer is a nuanced one. Yes, Stoicism does encourage us to not be swayed by our emotions, especially those resulting from external events beyond our control. However, it doesn't advocate for the suppression of emotions. Stoic philosophers understood the significance of emotions. They knew emotions were not just obstacles to overcome, but an integral part of our human experience. What they advised against was becoming a slave to our emotions, allowing them to dictate our actions and reactions. But, as with many philosophies, Stoicism can be misinterpreted. Some people, in their pursuit of Stoic tranquility, might start suppressing their emotions, believing it to be the Stoic way. This could lead to emotional numbness, or worse, emotional explosion when the suppressed feelings can no longer be contained. Let's remember, Stoicism isn't about denying our human nature, but about understanding it, embracing it, and working with it. It's about acknowledging our emotions, understanding their origins, and then deciding if they serve us or not. So while Stoicism does teach us to stay calm in the face of adversity, it doesn't encourage us to suppress our emotions. As with all philosophies, it's crucial to understand and implement them in their true essence, and not just in their superficial interpretation. Emotions aren't just obstacles to overcome, they're a vital part of our human experience. And what do you think about relationships? Stoicism can sometimes make us seem detached or unemotional to our loved ones, affecting the quality of our connections. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and accept what we can't. But when it comes to our relationships, this philosophy may lead to a few hiccups. Stoicism encourages us to approach life rationally, to dissect our emotions, understand their origins, and control our reactions to them. But when applied to relationships, this hyper-rationality can sometimes feel, well, cold. Imagine you're having a heated argument with your partner. You're both upset, but as a good Stoic, you're trying to keep your emotions in check. You're trying to be rational, to understand why you're upset and how to control it. But your partner might perceive this as emotional suppression or even indifference. They might feel unheard, invalidated, or worse, alone, even in your presence. And therein lies the paradox. Stoicism can make us strong individuals, but it might also create a distance between us and the people we care about. Because relationships are not just about rationality. They're about emotions, empathy, and connection. They're about understanding and accepting not just our own feelings, but also those of others. So, should we throw Stoicism out the window when it comes to our relationships? Not necessarily. We can still apply its principles, but with a twist. We can still strive to understand and control our emotions, but also make space for empathy. We can accept what we can't change in others, but also strive to influence their mood positively when possible. Stoicism can provide a helpful framework, but it might also complicate our relationships. If we look at our fate, should we just sit back and accept our fate, or should we strive to shape our destiny? A core tenet of Stoicism is the acceptance of fate, the belief that we should learn to accept things as they are rather than how we wish them to be. But this Stoic acceptance could potentially limit personal growth and ambition. Imagine a seed buried deep within the earth. It doesn't just accept its fate of being buried, no. It fights, it struggles, it grows. It pushes through the soil to reach for the sunlight, to become a mighty tree. Just like this seed, we too have the potential for growth within us. The modern world offers us a plethora of opportunities to learn, to change, to evolve. We have the tools and resources to shape our lives, to mold our fate into something we desire. To merely accept our circumstances, to not strive for better, is to limit our potential for personal growth. Stoicism teaches us to be content with what we have, and while this can lead to a sense of peace, it can also lead to complacency. The desire to grow, to improve, to strive for more is a fundamental aspect of what it means to be human. Fate might play a role in our lives, but it's not the sole director of our life's script. We have the power to change and grow. So let's not just be passive spectators in our lives. Let's be active participants, shaping our destiny, growing, evolving, and becoming the best versions of ourselves. So does the dark side of Stoicism outweigh its benefits? It's a question worth pondering, isn't it? Over the course of our discussion, we've examined the darker aspects of Stoicism: the risk of passivity, the potential for emotional suppression, the over-reliance on rationality, and its impact on relationships. Indeed, Stoicism can sometimes push us towards a stoic, unemotional state that may not always be healthy. It can make us passive, accepting things we could change, or distancing us from our emotions and even from people we care about. Yet, it's also crucial to remember that Stoicism, like any philosophy, isn't inherently good or bad. It's how we interpret and apply it that truly matters. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we can't. This can be a powerful mindset, fostering resilience, tranquility, and a sense of perspective. But the key word here is balance. Stoicism shouldn't be about suppressing emotions, but rather about understanding them. It's not about being indifferent to others, but about developing empathy and compassion while maintaining our own peace of mind. Similarly, the risk of passivity doesn't necessarily lie in Stoicism itself, but in how we interpret its teachings. If we take the concept of accepting what we can't control to an extreme, we might end up overlooking opportunities to make positive changes. But if we balance acceptance with proactivity, we can navigate life's challenges more effectively. In our relationships, Stoicism can actually help us become more understanding and less reactive. However, we must be careful not to use it as an excuse to avoid emotional intimacy or to dismiss the feelings of others. So, to wrap things up, Stoicism, like any tool, can be used wisely or unwisely. It's not about accepting everything passively or suppressing our emotions. Rather, it's about cultivating resilience, understanding our emotions, nurturing our relationships, and recognizing when to accept and when to act. As with any philosophy, Stoicism isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a tool, and like any tool, it's all about how we use it.